Hello. Welcome
Hello.
back to States and Kingdoms. Today we're having a conversation about the Beach Boys Love You.
Universal You.
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned though, I really love the cover of this.
Yeah, it's awesome. I always loved
the homespun. Well,
It's woven.
It's woven. Yeah,
It's a light bright.
It's kind of. It looks like a light bright, but it could also look like needlepoint.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And we did a whole video about album covers.
Crickets.
Yeah, so this album came out in '77, and it's the first album to be produced by Brian, all tracks written by Brian.
After a bit of hiatus.
Yeah, since Pet Sounds,
Right.
basically, for a released record, and there's a lot made of that.
If you read the fan magazines.
Right. So what do you think of this? Give me your opinion.
Well, let me tell you. I think I love this album. I think it's wonderful. I think it's Brian to a T. It's nice to have him back.
Back in 1977.
It's nice to have him back right now. I think the songs are charming in the way that only Brian Wilson can write a charming song. Not to take away anything from it, but that's just the first word that always comes to mind with this particular album.
No, that's perfect.
They have that childlike humor and noticing, just the way he notices things.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier, how, he can just write a song about anything.
Yeah.
I think you said that he thinks in songs.
Did I say that?
You did, and I thought I would let them know.
It's a really interesting album.
I'm not done.
You
It
sure?
also it's also a little bittersweet, because if you know anything about the Beatles or the Beach Boys,
I owe myself a quarter.
it's bittersweet, because if you know anything about Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, and specifically Brian Wilson, you know that he had a tough time. This album doesn't sound like struggling to me.
No.
But it's still not like fully functioning. I hate to use that word. It's a horrible thing.
It's very hard to sort of peel away what you know about the Beach Boys and Brian's struggles and everything that went on, and drugs and therapy and
Nightmare.
almost like being held hostage throughout the 80s. All of that, and just listen to the album, but because you think that you hear traces of those things, and you might.
I know I might be projecting onto the album.
This is such an interesting album. I mean, obviously one of the things that stands out, bass lines for the Beach Boys are always a staple. As far as their bass lines, to me, they're second to none.
That's Brian's instrument.
And the Mini Moog is like all over this, and Moog bass lines.
It's so synthy.
It is, but
It doesn't
it's done.
sound. It doesn't
No,
sound
it doesn't.
like it.
It doesn't.
It's not.
Just,
You don't picture Brian going like. Meh, meh.
the idea. I mean, that is. I was looking up a number of articles about this album. I know that a lot of Beach Boys fans really love this album, and it loves them.
I was gonna say that.
So I wasn't surprised that people thought very highly of it. I mean, I always liked it.
Yeah.
But I was also surprised some of the praise seems to denigrate some of the other albums, and you know what I mean. They're saying this, and critics at the time and people now, or at least now
recently.
being in the last 20 years. Saying that it's like the best thing since Pet Sounds, and because they always want to skip over all those other albums.
That's a big problem.
It is really, because I don't agree.
It's not,
It's a skewed view of the
it's
Beach
wrong.
Boys.
because it's actually wrong. As great as this is, it's not the greatest album since Pet Sounds.
Well, you know what it is? I mean, it's the most continuous and solid burst of Brian that, you know, that anyone had had.
Right.
So, in that sense, yeah.
Yeah, and you and I would never take away from Brian Wilson, but the rest of the band is there for a reason.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So, yeah, all those other albums.
Yeah.
You know, and even a couple of the albums after. Mm-hmm. I still like plenty, and I mean they're not as good as this.
I like the little snippet that I came across that said that, you know, for an aging
I know.
Brian Wilson, this album, he was an aging at 35 years old. Come on.
So anyway, just go through it. Like the first track, the bass line, you know, immediately. You know, this whole album is gonna have a sound, except for one song, which we can get to.
Earlier.
Let Us Go On This Way is like a classic Brian Wilson song.
It's like one of his kind of prayer songs.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a prayer.
Yeah.
So the refrain is, but the bass line is awesome. You know, it's really so immediately you get a like perfect Beach Boys song. And it really never lets up from there. It's not all like that. And you have a number of Brian's...
I'm sitting in a chair.
Conversational, somewhat quirky songs about things that he loved or interested him or he just happened to write a song about.
I like that where maybe another songwriter would be inspired by a person... And they would write the song, but they would, you know, change the names or something. But Brian's just like Johnny Carson.
You know, our favorite song, really, both of ours was Solar System. I don't know if that's weird or.
Well, I mean, it's got a beautiful melody.
Yeah.
It has all the Brian Wilson chord changes and things that he does.
That's the lyrics, though.
Right, but yes, so the lyrics are just adorable.
I know. That it's just, you know, saying exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not typical. And we're talking about Ray Davies a lot, listening to Ray Davies and how he almost not exactly almost, but like a novelist, like a writer, kind of marshals his characters forth and gives them sort of different voices slightly. Mm-hmm. And but still draws from his own experience and is able to really put forward some grand themes and profound themes without any sentimentality even.
Yeah.
You know, Ray Davies, genius. I would say. I mean, I don't. You know, what can he say? Isn't he?
Sure.
Brian is, of course, as well. He's so different. I mean, he just doesn't hold anything back at all. There are no characters. There's nothing. It's just this direct voice from him. And of course, he worked with a lot of lyricists. But yeah, you always know. You can always get him.
He always comes through.
You know, and here it's just unadulterated Brian.
Yeah.
And it's really great. And it's great that so many Beach Boys fans love this because, I mean, that means that they love the thing that
makes the Beach Boys
Boys, you know, so
it's
perfect.
Nice to see.
The other song on this that I really love is the Gig Young. Night Was Young. The Night Was Gig Young. What's it called?
The Night Was So Young.
The Night Was So Young. Yeah, beautiful harmonies on that. Both Dennis and Brian's voices sound.
Well, I was gonna say I'll bet he's nice, which I really like that song a lot.
Well, I love the blending of their voices.
They blend their voices perfectly. But they've always done that.
Yeah, they've always done it.
I mean, Mike Love will start a song and then Brian will pick up, and you can hardly even guess where one ends and one begins. And
then Al is singing, and you didn't even know it.
And Al Jardine sounds just like
tough.
Their voices blend together like crazy, and they a lot on this album of the like layering of voices, not in like a typical like harmony thing. Like they're actually just singing
it's like,
together, and it's like
one
voice. It's really
You know, on that
Sounds
one in
great.
particular, that Dennis and Brian, it is like one voice, and then Carl comes in, who
And does
whose
his
voice has a very different, especially by this time, his voice has a very different quality because he hadn't, like, well, whatever they were doing, he wasn't doing.
it's just so nice to have the three brothers singing together. I think that makes it really special.
You know, before I forget, I was going to say before that, I mean, this album really is kind of like I said, busy doing nothing for a whole album. I mean, that's really, that's what I always thought of it. You know, it's like, oh, it's one of those, it's Brian singing about doing the dishes, or,
Right.
you know, he's sitting watching wind chimes, or he
wants to write a letter, and
he's recommending in Mona, he's just recommending all his favorite Phil Spector songs. You know, I mean, like, that kind of stuff that he giving directions to his house. You know, I mean, like, and that's how I always thought of it. It is basically what it is. It's purely autobiographical, but not confessional. It's really interesting.
But it's just so honest.
It is him. He's in these songs.
Yeah, well, like in the song that he does with his wife, you know, Let's Put Our Hearts Together. It's such a sweet song. It's just a sweet romance, like a true love song between two people who are married. It feels like very, very. It's a mature love song.
Yeah.
Not mature like he's old. He's not old. He's 35. But you know what I mean? Like it just feels like it's not silly at all. It's just very direct and honest, and he's just sappy. Like putting it all out there. Somehow it's not sentimental at all. It's just It's just so sweet. So honest and sweet.
Beach Boys songs always have that melancholy, you know, as an undertone or overtone.
Just a tone.
Just a tone. I never actually thought that was as much on this album as it, you know, had been on previous songs.
Well, it's not songs. Like right up front there, rip your heart out, like the past is over.
You know, I know, and I mean, I would still consider this generally an upbeat album.
It is.
But there is always that. You know, the Beach Boys, their themes of, you know, time passing, of things changing, you know, of summer being over, things
this
like that.
This doesn't have that kind of quality, that tone of like all summer long.
No,
or till I die.
No.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No, it
or
doesn't.
Even, you know, like I wasn't made for these times, or tone of this is much lighter, which I think is part of that thing that brings me back to like that word, like just charming and pleasant.
It's just like a conversation with Brian Wilson in song. You know, Airplane is a really great song, actually. I think that's great. And the end of that
is beautiful.
Picking up, you know, into that almost like boogie woogie R&B thing that, you know, that Brian could do so easily.
Part of what makes this a little difficult to really explain, you know, how you feel about certain songs on this album. I think there's this facade of simplicity. Yeah. Where, you know, it feels like it's simpler than it is. It feels like he's just talking about random stuff, or airplanes, or suns and moons and stuff, but that's not
stuffing.
And stuffing.
He sings about stuffing. You would sing.
I would sing about stuffing. I love stuffing, but it's not. It's never that simple.
No,
the music, you know, everything about it. So it's like a really interesting juxtaposition. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great album.
Oh yeah, anyone that loves the Beach Boys, if they haven't listened to this, I mean, they'll really enjoy it. I think, really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. So there you have it. Beach Boys love you. Hope you liked our talk. Please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And please stay tuned for more videos coming your way very soon. Thank you so much for watching.